Hi, it's Reggie. Welcome back to Moonlight and Moments, and to the second episode of this five-part series. This season, we're moving slowly and intentionally, allowing each episode to open a different doorway into self love, not as something to master, but as something to practice, gently, imperfectly, and in your own time. In episode 1, we began by choosing ourselves. Today, we continue by listening to what's been quietly waiting to be expressed. This episode is an invitation to reconnect with your voice. Not the loud one, not the polished one, but the honest one. The part of you that feels joy deeply, that notices beauty easily, that wants to take up space without apology. If you've ever felt like you needed to soften yourself to belong, or quiet parts of who you are to keep the peace, this moment is for you. So take a breath and let's begin. No one noticed it before anyone else. It wasn't a sound exactly, more like a vibration. Subtle, rhythmic, alive. It moved through the house the way roots move through soil, unseen but intentional. While the others settled into their rooms, unpacking and resting, Noah stood barefoot at the edge of the hallway, head tilted, listening with her whole body. "Do you feel that?" she asked softly. Ray paused at the top of the stairs and turned. "Feel what?" Noah smiled, not frustrated, not surprised, just knowing. "It's not for everyone yet," she said, "but it's there." She didn't wait for permission. That was the thing about Noah. She rarely did. She followed the pool down a narrow corridor that curved gently like it had been shaped by time rather than designed. The walls grew cooler as she walked, the air richer, damp with something earthy and green. The lights dimmed until they weren't really lights at all, just openings, cracks in the ceiling where filtered sunlight slipped through. The hallway ended at a door she hadn't seen before. It was glass, fogged over from the inside, vines curling delicately around the frame as if the house itself had decided this door needed to breathe. A small wooden sign hung from a nail, hand painted and slightly uneven. "The garden below." Noah pressed her palm against the glass. The vibration strengthened. Her chest fluttered, not with fear, but with recognition. Like hearing a song you used to hum as a child before you learned it was better to stay quiet. She pushed the door open. Warmth rushed to meet her. The garden wasn't underground the way she expected. Not dark, not hidden. It was open to the sky, through a wide atrium, sunlight cascading down in golden sheets. Plants grew everywhere, unapologetically. Vines climbed walls without trellises. Flowers bloomed in colors too vivid to feel planned. Herbs spilled over stone edges, fragrant and wild. Nothing was labeled, nothing was controlled. It was alive. Bare earth pressed cool and damp beneath her feet as Noah stepped forward. She inhaled deeply, and something inside her loosened. A knot she hadn't realized she'd been carrying since childhood. This place didn't ask her to be careful. It asked her to be honest. As she wandered deeper, she noticed sounds rising from the garden itself. Humming, whispering, laughter carried on the breeze. At first she thought she wasn't alone, that someone else had arrived before her. Then she realized the sounds were hers. Not words, feelings, unexpressed truths, joy she had swallowed, songs she never sang out loud because they felt too big, too strange, too much. She stopped walking. Her throat tightened. For years, Noah had learned to make herself smaller in ways no one ever explicitly asked her to. She learned when adults smiled politely instead of listening, when her excitement was met with gentle redirection, when her emotions were called dramatic, her questions inconvenient, her sensitivity exhausting. So she adapted. She learned when to speak and when to stay quiet, when to shine and when to dim. when joy was acceptable and when it needed to be tucked away. The garden responded. Leaves rustled softly. A vine unfurled beside her, stretching toward the light. Flowers turned their faces upward without apology. Noah's eyes burned. She knelt and pressed her hands into the soil. It was warm, alive. "You're allowed," she whispered, though she wasn't sure who she was talking to. The earth seemed to breathe back. Something rose in her chest then, a sound, fragile and unpracticed. A hum. It startled her enough that she almost stopped it, almost pulled it back down the way she always did. But the garden leaned in as if listening. So she let it continue. The hum grew steadier, warmer. It vibrated through her ribs, her throat, her jaw. Her body remembered something her mind had forgotten. That expression was never meant to be perfect, only real. The vines around her shifted, leaves trembling. Flowers bloomed in places that had been bare Flowers bloomed in places that had been bare moments ago. The garden didn't demand a performance. It celebrated presence. Noah stood. She laughed, a short, surprised sound that broke open into something freer. She spun once, then again, arms outstretched, bare feet grounding her to the earth as sunlight caught in her hair. "I'm here," she said aloud. The words echoed softly, not bouncing back at her but expanding. "I'm here." She wasn't too much here. She wasn't strange here. She wasn't asked to soften or shrink or explain. She was allowed to take up space. When she finally turned back toward the door, her chest felt lighter, fuller, like something long muted had finally been tuned again. She glanced once more at the garden, at the wildness, the growth, the uncontained beauty. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel the need to carry it quietly inside herself. She felt ready to let it be seen. There's a quiet grief many of us carry, not for something we lost, but for something we learned to silence. Our voice, not just the sound of it, but what it carries. Joy, curiosity, honesty, desire, excitement, grief, wonder. Somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being fully expressed came with consequences. That speaking too freely might make others uncomfortable. That joy might be disruptive. That honesty might be inconvenient. So we adapted. We learned to measure ourselves. We learned to filter our feelings before they reach our lips. We learned to scan the room before we spoke. To check if there was space for us. To check if our presence would be welcomed. And slowly, quietly, our voice learned to wait. But self-love isn't only about kindness and care. It's also about expression. About allowing what's inside you to move forward without shame. It's about trusting that your voice, however it sounds, deserves air. Reclaiming your voice doesn't mean becoming louder. It means becoming truer. It means noticing when you silence yourself automatically, when you apologize for existing, when you laugh quietly instead of freely, when you swallow words that want to be spoken gently, honestly, and perfectly. The garden below isn't about returning to who you were as a child. It's about honoring who you are now, with the wisdom you've gained and the joy that still lives beneath the surface. Because your voice didn't disappear. It adapted, and is still waiting for your permission. So many people, especially women, especially mothers, learn early that harmony often comes at the cost of self-expression. We learn to smooth things over, to be agreeable, to choose peace over truth, even when truth is what we need most. We learn that taking up space can feel risky, that it might make us seem selfish, dramatic, or difficult. And so we quiet ourselves, not all at once, but slowly. We stop sharing ideas that feel too tender. We stop asking for what we need. We stop naming what hurts. We stop celebrating ourselves out loud. We stop trusting that our voice belongs in the room. And then one day we feel disconnected. Not because we've lost ourselves, but because we've been living edited version of ourselves for too long. This episode is for anyone who has ever felt that ache. The ache of wanting to speak but hesitating. The ache of dimming joy so it feels more acceptable. The ache of wondering who you might be if you didn't constantly monitor your own expression. Reclaiming your voice doesn't require a stage. It begins in quiet moments, choosing honesty in a conversation, letting yourself laugh fully, saying no without explanation, saying yes without guilt, allowing yourself to be seen without rehearsing. Your voice doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. It just needs to be yours. If this episode stirred something in you, here are a few gentle ways to begin reclaiming your voice. Slowly, safely, and on your own terms. 1. Notice where you quiet yourself. Without judgment, start observing moments when you stop yourself from speaking or expressing. Ask gently, what am I protecting myself from right now? Awareness is the first form of freedom. 2. Practice expression without audience. Write, hum, sing, journal, move, not to share but to release. Let your voice exist without needing validation. Your expression doesn't need witnesses to be real. Say one honest sentence today. It can be small. I'm tired. That actually hurt. I'd like something different. This makes me happy. Truth spoken gently still counts. 4. Let joy take up space. When something delights you, resist the urge to downplay it. Let yourself enjoy fully, even if it feels unfamiliar. Joy is not excessive. It's informative. 5. Create a garden of moment. Find one place, physical or emotional, where you allow yourself to be unfiltered. A walk, a playlist, a notebook, a quiet room. Return there often. That's where your voice remembers itself. Take a breath in through your nose. Let it fill your chest, your belly. Exhale slowly. Imagine yourself standing barefoot on warm earth. The ground beneath you is steady, alive, supportive. Nothing is asking you to perform. Nothing is asking you to explain. Feel your breath moving in and out. Now imagine a soft light opening in your chest. Not bright, not overwhelming, just warm, steady. With each inhale, that light expands. With each exhale, it moves outward, into your throat, your mouth, your hands. Notice any tension. Let it soften. Now ask yourself quietly, what wants to be expressed right now? Don't force an answer, just listen. Whatever arises, a feeling, a word, a sensation, welcome it. You don't have to act on it yet. Just acknowledge it. Take one more breath and remind yourself, my voice is allowed. My joy is allowed. I am allowed to take up space. When you're ready, open your eyes, carrying that permission with you. As we come to the end of this episode, I want to leave you with one simple truth. Your voice was never too much. It was just waiting for safety. That's the heart of today's reflection. Reclaiming your voice doesn't mean becoming louder or more confident overnight. It means trusting yourself enough to stop shrinking. It means allowing joy, honesty, and expression to exist without asking permission. You are allowed to take up space with your feelings, your joy, your truth. As the series continues, we'll keep exploring different parts of self-love, one destination at a time. But for now, let this episode remind you that your voice matters, even when it's soft, even when it's unsure, even when it's still finding its way. Thank you for being here with me tonight. Follow Moonlight and Moments wherever you listen. and share it with someone who might need a little light today. Until next time, and as always, love yourself better than yesterday.
I learned how to soften my laughter, learned how to measure my tone, learned how to swallow the words that felt safer left alone. But something inside me is restless, like it's tired of staying small. Like joy was never the problem, I just learned to hide it all. I don't need to shout to be heard, I don't need to dim my light. I just need to trust the sound of me is allowed to take up light. So I'll take up space, even gently, even slow. I'll let my voice be honest where it wants to go. I don't have to be louder, I just have to be true. There's room in this world for all of me too. I've been careful with my feelings, packing them neat and tight. But the parts of me that sparkle don't survive without light. So I'm letting myself breathe now, letting wonder lead the way, letting joy stop asking permission just to show up and stay. Oh, I'll take up space with my laughter.